If a visitor does not disclose that they are autistic, how might front of house be aware? Are there any cues or behaviours that we could look out for?
I get you have to be aware that think autism or mental disabilities in general have a spectrum and how much they affect the individual and person, Generally it could affect them greatly that obvious or barely obvious at all, And they generally show different signs and oftentimes they could be trying to hide it, or try to do it in private without the public seeing them because of embarrassment or fear, So oftentimes it will be hard to see or understand, by the common person if they're someone autistic or not or and such. But generally you can see it happening in subtle movements that are unconscious by the person doing them. And they often don't mean to do it, but they often do it anyway because it's not on their mind, So often, the best way I would think to deal with that would be to have the workers here to be trained in that, either by video, in person, or be given a pamphlet of such to learn what signs to look out for and how to deal with situations where the person might have a meltdown or they might need assistance or they're trying to say something but can't due to either being mute or due to being slurring their speech because they were born with that for different reasons.
People with autism can have the same cues and characteristics as other people with additional needs, but I suppose some cues and characteristics that may indicate that someone is autistic is lack of eye contact, lack of verbal engaging, possibly jumping up and down, flapping their hands. These are all examples of what's called stimming.
What are the specific sensory challenges that you personally struggle with in the Hunt Museum reception area?
I get from what I've seen is that it's hard to tell where to go if you want to buy a ticket or where to go into the museum itself, the exhibits, Because there are no lines or signs technically pointing where to go. You just have to follow based on what you see. For instance, when you're entering into reception, where do you think you would go to get a ticket? It will be the same place where the gift shop is, and that be confusing for people because it seems to be more farther away, and they will think it will be the deck right to the left of them when they enter, but really that's more just for the, I'm assuming, the guard or security. My idea would be to either have signs or arrow pointing where to go, or to have the deck be longer and to separate into a place for tickets and a place for a gift shop, and maybe reorganize the gift shop to make it more obvious,
For me, I found the wayfinding signage in the reception area quite difficult to understand. It was confusing as to whether the front desk is a shop or if it's where you purchase your ticket. And another aspect to that, I suppose, is when I first came to the museum and did a tour of it, I didn't know where to go to start the tour. There's very little signage in regards to that. Also, I find the heat in the reception area and other parts of the museum quite overwhelming. I also find some of the smells from the cafeteria quite overwhelming too. Also, I find the light in the reception area can be very bright and overstimulating at times.
When you enter the museum's reception area, what would make you feel more comfortable or lessen the anxiety that you feel?
I get maybe either seeing signs or badges or lanyards about that thing that so that the workforce or workers basically are willing and to help people with autism or disabilities of any type and helping them with any activities around the museum,
I think the sunflower lanyards that are offered in the sensory station in the foyer of the museum are extremely helpful because autistic people that are coming into the museum, they very likely might be masking. There isn't going to be a specific tell for you to just spot out, oh, that person is autistic. And I think also the sunflower lanyards are not only a more discreet way because it offers wristbands for you to wear, but they also make things more accessible for those who can't advocate on their own behalf, whether that be because they are autistic and nonverbal or because they have another hidden disability like being deaf or just having social anxiety. It could be a number of things. And the sunflower lanyard will state specifically, if they choose to, if they're comfortable with it, to say the hidden disability that they have. And so that can be read, and then you can offer supports. And also, more specifically to autism, people could be wearing an As I Am lanyard, and so that specifically would help you identify that somebody coming in is definitely autistic.